Powernomics and purchase his, this is special. This is a special deal he's doing. You can go to his website and purchase his 5 books. He's got a special, it's the library pack. You can special his 5 books for $99. I think it's a good thing. Why? Because then you'll be able to have a meaningful discussion with me about Native Black Americans. That's what I call us now. That's what I call the direct descendants of slaves, Native Black Americans. And so we'll have a meaningful discussion about Native Black Americans and about race matters in America. So, the 5 books are Powernomics. Well, first go to powernomics.com, POWERNOMICS.com, powernomics.com. And the 5 books are A Black History Reader. The second book is Black Labor, White Wealth. Then Powernomics. 4th is Dirty Little Secrets. And then the 5th book is More Dirty Little Secrets. And then, and I've read them. And, we can sort of have like a book club or something like that. We can sort of like, the last one I read is A Black History Reader. It's chock full of information. It's chock full of history. It's chock full of data. It's a good thing. I think you should know it. So that you can have a meaningful and relevant discussion about these issues. We don't know the issues. The American people don't know the issues. We've got to learn them. We've been misled. We've been misled. We've been given a misunderstanding. And this is why, we keep repeating the same things over and over again. We're not getting anywhere. It bothers me, yes, that that Native Black Americans have been in this country for 460 years and we're at the bottom. Yes, it bothers me that Native Black Americans make up 40% of the homeless in Los Angeles. Yes, it bothers me that, they're illegal aliens, like if things stay on par, they will number 1 million in the United States this year. We'll have 1 million illegal aliens in the United States this year. I think we're on par to have like 100,000 this month or next. It's like we're at a tipping point, folks, and it bothers me that Frederick Douglass and W.E. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey and Booker T. Washington and Black intellectuals and Black newspapers talked about how high immigration adversely impacts Black America. They talked about it. What? In the 1800s. And most Black folks don't even know this. In fact, I just saw an article that was written, let me see the name of the article. It was in 1970. In the early 1970s, this is the title. Republicans helped build an all-Black town called Soul City. This was under Nixon. And I've said this repeatedly, that every time Black Americans are getting ready to get something that is beneficial for their group, yes, because life is about group-based phenomenon, because every group puts their group first. That's called human nature. And every time some Native Black Americans get something going for their group, here comes Democrats and liberal ideology to, bash it out and to make it a bad thing and to mischaracterize it and misrepresent it. Anyway, speaking about Nixon, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that Carl Burns, Woodward and Bernstein. Whenever Carl Bernstein was on CNN, he would equate Russiagate to Watergate. In fact, he even said it was worse, right? I mean, it's just unbearable. It's so unbearable what the media has done to the American people. It's so unbearable. And it actually makes me think, it makes me want to go back and rethink the whole Nixon thing. I want to because it gives me the impression that, Woodward and Bernstein are supposed to be investigative journalists. They received many awards for this business. They're supposed to be the tops, the best, right? They're the ones who broke the issue on Watergate. And they're comparing Russiagate to Watergate. In fact, they're saying it's worse. So now I want to go back and look at all that stuff. It makes you want to just rethink everything, history, and relearn it, reinvestigate it. I mean, if Nixon was opening up or providing funds for a black town. This article is called "In the Early 1970s, Republicans Helped Build an All-Black Town Called Soul City." You know how they say history repeats itself? So, liberals and Democrats made sure that this did not happen. This soul city for Native Black Americans. Just like today, Democrats and the liberal mainstream media was trying to kick Trump out, was trying to, get Trump impeached, was trying to destroy his presidency. Why don't we take a listen, Jeff? Jeff is my engineer. And, I also haven't thanked my call screener, Brooke. Hi, Brooke. Thank you very much for being my call screener. I haven't thanked her in a while. So, Jeff, why don't we take a listen to Carl Bernstein? I think it's take one, where he's on CNN and he's talking about, he's equating Russiagate with Watergate.
Carl Bernstein joins us right now. He was part of the Washington Post team reporting on Watergate. Carl is now a CNN political analyst. And Carl, look, this happened yesterday when Michael Cohen stood up and basically said, the president directed me to break the law. People said, not since Watergate have we seen something like this. Your reaction?
Well, as you know, I've said before that what we're seeing is worse than Watergate, because in Watergate, the system worked. And until yesterday, when we finally saw some action in the judiciary, in the judicial branch, in which the rule of law has apparently had real effect, the system has not been working. But more than anything, what we're seeing now is the egregious conduct of the man who was the president of the United States, with no regard for the rule of law before he was president, in his campaign, or as president of the United States. And that's what makes this whole situation so dangerous.
What does it mean that the president of the United States is now an unindicted co-conspirator in the breaking of a federal law?
Well, there's the political dimension of it, and there's the legal dimension of it. We've got a long way to go, and we need more information, and that's what the Mueller investigation is all about. And this is no witch hunt, as almost any fair-minded person ought to be able to see with great clarity now. It is anything but a witch hunt. It is an attempt to get at the truth. And what the truth that we are learning, we're beginning to understand why the president of the United States, Donald Trump, has covered up since he took office almost everything having to do with his response in terms of the facts regarding the Mueller investigation, and to try to make the issue the conduct of the Mueller investigation, the FBI, Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, the deep state, rather than his own egregious conduct, including in this cover-up and obstruction of justice that Mr. Mueller obviously has a very strong case on. But also the whole question of, quote, Mr. Trump keeps saying no collusion, no collusion, no collusion. The evidence would point to anything but what he is saying. The Trump Tower meeting at which his son attended and said, I love it, when told by representatives holding out the possibility of Russians providing information, the Russian government on Hillary Clinton to the Trump campaign. That meeting in Trump Tower was an open invitation to collusion. The people around him, Mike Flynn, among others, seemed to be accused of collusion, the former national security advisor. This investigation will tell us, if Trump allows it to go forward, the extent and whether or not that collusion extends to the president of the United States himself.
Okay, that was Carl Bernstein. Everyone knows Woodward and Bernstein. Everyone knows Watergate. We know everyone watched All the President's Men. Who was it? Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford. Everyone watched that, at least of my generation. I wasn't really following politics, but subsequent to Nixon's administration and him resigning, I learned about it, right? We all learned about Watergate. And this, Woodward and Bernstein are supposed to be premier investigative journalists. And did you hear what Carl Bernstein said? Did you hear it? I mean, it's just like, oh my God. It was all, it's all these words that are meaningless. It wasn't anything you could sink your teeth into, no. But he was suggesting that, Trump is guilty. He was implicating that Trump is guilty of collusion, that he is doing all these kinds of shenanigans. He was suggesting that Trump was going to fire Mueller, right? This is our premier investigative journalists. Woodward and Bernstein received so many accolades and awards. They're highly respected. They're multimillionaires. The American people think so highly of Woodward and Bernstein. And did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he suggested? This is, it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable that our media what does it say about our media? Now I'm thinking, now that I find out that Nixon was going to do a Black city, Soul City for Native Black Americans, I think the liberals, the Democrats blew that for us. You see, that's how I'm thinking. In other words, history repeats itself. They keep doing the same shenanigans over and over and over, keeping Black folks relegated to a permanent underclass so that we vote for them. And we keep begging and needing stuff. We're not self-sufficient or autonomous. We're not self-actualized, even though we've been in the country 460 years, even though we've sustained the Democratic Party, even though we've had Black Wall Street and all our business, even though during Jim Crow we had owned 40% of our businesses, even though we were 87% two-parent families. But, these Democrats, this liberal ideology just keeps what is the word I want to say? Just relentlessly breaking us and breaking us and breaking us and going after us like they went after Trump. They are relentless. Who are these people that have a necessity, a need to keep Native Black Americans on the bottom? Because we have been told, we've known since the 1800s that high immigration is adversely impacting Black Americans. Yet these Democrats, and you got Black folks who vote Democrat, they can't figure it out for whatever reason. I don't know what their problem is, but they got one. We have been told, if you do your research, we have known since the 1800s that high immigration adversely impacts Black Americans because they take jobs away from us. Now we've morphed into not even high immigration, but illegal aliens. People not even in the country legally. And we're told that they will be at 1 million this year. And they're not even from Mexico, they're from Central America. And Black folks, Democrats, justify this? Oh yeah, these people are not even in the country legally. And Black people justify that? Are you crazy? You have to be crazy. You can't think straight. Anyway, I'm just so upset about it because there was traffic driving 16 miles to the studio because Los Angeles is overcrowded. It takes me 45 minutes to drive 16 miles. Why are all these people here? And more are coming. It's absurd. Anyway, so now I want to talk about this whole Mueller investigation. And this is the issue. This is an excellent article, and I suggest people read it. Andrew McCarthy wrote this article, and is how long has Mueller known there was no Trump-Russia collusion? How long has he known that? Read the article. Because in this article, Andrew McCarthy suggests by connecting all the dots, he suggests, Mueller was hired in May, I think it was May 2017. He suggests that Mueller knew in July 2017, if not before, because Dan Bongino makes the argument that they knew even before then. They knew even before then because why? This other article, Andrew Weissman, deputy for Mueller, Andrew Weissman, this is the other article, Mueller deputy brief on anti-Trump dossier research months before 2016 testimony. Mueller had Andrew Weissman as his deputy on the special counsel investigation. So Andrew McCarthy is making the argument that Mueller knew in July 17 that there was no Russian collusion. Dan Bongino makes the argument that they knew in 2016. So, in other words, they connect the dots. Oh, the dots can be connected when you look at the testimony that was given under oath by the players in the game. So this is the issue. If Mueller knew in July 2017, he was hired in May 2017, that there was no Russian collusion, the question becomes, what was he doing for 675 days? What was he doing? What was he doing? What was he doing, Jeff? That's the problem. And then, that's the problem. He was wasting taxpayer money. And this is how Dan Bongino put it, and I like it. I haven't memorized it, but I like it, and so I wrote it down because that's exactly what was being done. Mueller was engaged in a long... Wait, that's not the one. Okay. Mueller was engaged in a prolonged political attack to diminish the political capital and disrupt the presidency of Trump. Now we know, so he knew, when you connect the dots, read the articles, he knew in July 2017 that there was no Russian collusion. So he spent 675 days doing what? He went back to Rosenstein, August 2nd, 2017, to modify or expand his duties by getting a new scope memo. And in that scope memo, because initially his duties were Russian collusion, and in that scope memo, they expanded his terrain to obstruction of justice. So the whole thing has been a fraud. They knew it was a hoax. They knew that the whole thing was based upon the fake dossier, which was funded by the Hillary folks, right? And it was oppositional research. It was a hoax. They knew it all along. In fact, they knew it. Many knew it. Weissman, who was Mueller's deputy, knew it in 2016. And these suckers go on the mainstream media and convince the brain dead American folks that this is what's taking place. Russian collusion and obstruction and justice by Trump and his family members and associates. And it's nothing further from the truth. This is all something that has been manufactured by the Hillary campaign. And this is why I love that during the Michigan campaign rally that Trump held, what was it? What is today? Today's Sunday. That's another. Why is there so much traffic on Sunday evening? Okay. But anyway, Trump had a campaign rally in Michigan. Was it Friday or Thursday? I think probably Friday. And I love the fact that he said that people are going to be held accountable. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because it's not, it's not so much about Trump, but it's about the fact that you cannot continue to, this kind of shenanigans cannot be played on the next president. And what I find amazing about some Trump haters is like, no matter how much evidence is revealed, they shift the goalpost. They said, well, okay, now we have to investigate Mueller. But if we remember, folks, if you remember, they loved Mueller. And in fact, when you're listening to Bernstein audio, you can hear Bernstein say, "Oh my God, we don't want Mueller. We don't want Mueller fired. We don't want Mueller fired by Trump." Well, they loved Mueller. They loved him. You guys remember. And now the Democrats are saying, well, we got to investigate Mueller and, we got to bring him into Congress. Do we have time to play the Andrew McCarthy audio? Okay, let's, as I said, Andrew McCarthy wrote the piece about when did Mueller find out there was no Russian collusion? When exactly? Let's listen to Andrew McCarthy. This is Andrew McCarthy on Fox. It's a great tape.
Think about what Comey didn't tell the president. What they did was they gave the president a small snapshot of what was in this dossier, the P tape, the salacious stuff. What didn't he tell the president? He didn't tell him, oh, and by the way, the dossier also alleges that you're involved in a massive conspiracy with Putin to undermine the election and to hack Democratic accounts. And I forgot to mention this to you, but we've been in the FISA court for 3 months getting surveillance warrants against people involved in your campaign on the theory that you're a Russian agent. Just wanted to mention that. I don't, that's not the conversation that they had in January. And what to me is amazing is that they continued even after Trump was in office, January, April, June, to go back to the FISA court on the basis of this same information. And if you think about it, Mueller scrubbed this information very carefully in deciding that there was no collusion. Why didn't the FBI and the Justice Department try to verify it and corroborate it? And when they couldn't verify it, why didn't they refrain from going to the FISA court in the first place?
Okay, you got to know the details, folks. That's what I'm talking about. See, this is the thing about Democrat voters and Democrat voters. They're content with superficiality. They're content with shallow. They pretend to be deep, but they're not. They're shallow and superficial. Because you got to know the details. If you want to talk about anything, if you want to assess anything properly and successfully, you got to know the details. And also you have to start with what's relevant. So remember that Comey went into Trump and he talked about the dossier. And he said that it was salacious and fraud and unverified. That was the word he used, right? He talked about the fact that it talked about Trump, the sexual stuff, Trump getting golden showers and all that sexual hogwash. But he never mentioned that the dossier, the unverified dossier, contained information about Trump being involved, Trump and his family and associates being involved with Russian collusion. Okay. And this is the other thing I want to mention. I hear the music. We're going to go to break. But the other thing I want to mention is this. Trump verified. He said it was an unverified dossier Comey said it was an unverified dossier to Trump, but yet he signed those FISA warrants saying that the dossier was verified and legitimate. He signed it 3 times. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about the 4th dossier that Mueller, this is proof, Mueller did not get the 4th dossier. He didn't renew it. That's proof of his intent that it wasn't worth anything. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. you. Okay, so then we do Dr. Claude Anderson on the live, right? Okay. welcome to the Naked Truth Report. I'm Kathleen Welch, your host, and what were we talking about? We were talking, you know what? I want you to also know, hey, I have a new sponsor, Dr. Claude Anderson. Everyone knows that he's my mentor and he's been very supportive. I've learned a lot from him. I've read his books. The last book I read was The Black History Reader. It's chock full of information. I recommend people go to thepowernomics.com and he has a special deal, a library pack for $99. You can go and pick up 5 of his books for $99. It's a great deal because you will never find information so condensed. The books are informative, and I suggest people get them because you will learn about all the things that you didn't know. We have been misled. The media has misled the American people. The schools have misled the American people. We're not informed about race matters in America. Like, I didn't even know that Richard Nixon had started, he had invested in building a soul city. This is a great article that I never knew that, you see. And you see, Nixon had to resign. The media destroyed him. In the early 1970s, Republicans helped build an all-Black town in North Carolina. I mean, I never knew. I should have known that, right? See, and the media has had, they have, what is the word? They have denigrated. They have, what is the word I'm looking for? They have slandered. Is that the word I want? Or, they've put Nixon in a bad light. They characterize him as an evildoer, as a rube, as a bad guy, as a corrupt guy, just as they were going to do Trump. Let me tell you something. If these folks got away with this somehow, if Mueller's, they're still trying to get him. They're still trying to get Trump. But if Mueller had to come out with no collusion because there was no collusion. He had to do it. But the most aggravating and upsetting fact is that he knew early on into his investigation. He spent 675 days knowing there was no collusion. Maybe even before that, right? Maybe in 2016. This is why you have to read the article. And this is why Mueller went to Rosenstein back in August 2nd, 2017, to expand his duties to include obstruction. Because he knew there was no Russian collusion. And everything was predicated upon Russia collusion. The FISA warrants were granted upon Russia collusion. It was all a hoax. It was all a lie. It was all untrue. It was all a mere distraction. From who literally colluded with Russians was the Hillary campaign. It was all an excuse to justify Hillary losing. It was all an insurance policy. See, this is when, this is something that Andrew McCarthy says and Dan Bongino went over. It's that once the Inspector General Horowitz informed Mueller that the FBI, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok were exchanging these infamous texts denigrating Trump, saying they needed an insurance investigation. That made it, that's when, Trump changed his, that's when Mueller rather changed who was changed Peter Strzok's position. But that's when Mueller became fully aware that, okay, wait a minute, something fishy is going on. That's when he knew definitively something fishy was going on. He maybe knew before then, but he knew definitively when Inspector General Horowitz informed him about the infamous text between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok denigrating Trump, saying we need an insurance policy, so on and so forth. But Mueller probably, and this is the argument Dan Bongino makes, Mueller probably knew even before then, back in 2016, because he hired Andrew Weissman as his deputy. And Andrew Weissman was briefed on the dossier, and he knew it was fake. So it's just, it's just everything. And yet the media, this is what is so disturbing. People like Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward, who are so respected by the American people. And they are believed to be credible because they brought down Nixon. They're supposed to be the premier investigative journalists. And you heard what Carl Bernstein said. So now I'm thinking, like, these folks are no good. They're no good. They have made money. They make money off of misleading the American people. They make money. They create problems, and then they want to get paid to solve the problem. It's like a con game on the American people, and it's not cool. And I'm so, and the mainstream media is basically, and this is something Lara Logan told us. Lara Logan and someone else came out, that the mainstream media is basically people who are Democrats, liberals, and they vote. So what are and liberal ideology isn't in the interest of the American people. It has destroyed us. It has destroyed our families. You see where our families are. All American families are being disintegrated. Then you see what's happening with this Me Too movement. Hashtag. These people, Me Too feminism has destroyed the family. I talked about that before. So these people are about destroying America. I hope more. Well, I'll put it to you this way. The only people that really vote, this is why they have to let these people in this country. That's why, this is why they have, because American people catch on eventually. Some of us take longer than others, but you can't fool us forever. You can't take advantage. This is why they have to keep importing people who have no 8th grade, who only have an 8th grade education, who are poor. This is why they have to let them in the country, because they will vote Democrat, because they will get free stuff. And the cycle continues. Do you see? Because we know that Terry Anderson was talking about this in the 90s. That illegal aliens should not be in the country. They are devastating the American people. They're taking jobs away from the American people. But what bothers me about some American people is that they continue, they can't look around and observe what is taking place. They don't realize that, they don't realize that, maybe Americans would like to work, maybe American men would want to work a construction job. I mean, how can American people not think that an American man would want to work a construction job? How can someone think that way? You're not thinking. Construction jobs are good jobs. It used to be the way into the middle class. That's why you don't see any illegal aliens sleeping on the street in Los Angeles. You see black men sleeping. In fact, sorry, I had to cough. I just saw a black man on the street he was literally sleeping on the street. He didn't even have a blanket. Okay. He was just on the street asleep. And there's one man that, in fact, you guys know I went to Dorsey High School. And at Dorsey High School, they have an encampment right next to the high school of one man who lives next to the high school on the street. That's absurd. And when I was a kid, I used to work at Bullocks Wilshire. You go down to Bullocks Wilshire. It's not Bullocks Wilshire anymore. It's like Southwestern Law School. Bullocks Wilshire, it's a nice area. And they have people sleeping on the street next to Bullocks Wilshire on 6th Avenue. This is absurd. The city has changed. And this is the thing. We have so many new people to the city. I think, native Los Angelenos have left. Many, not all, many. But these new folks think this is par for the course. This is the way Los Angeles is supposed to be, or this is the way Los Angeles is, where we have people sleeping on the street. And they're always black men, I'm telling you, and black women begging for money. How can this be? And why is no one disturbed by this? Anyway, I'm very disturbed by, I'm getting back to this Woodward. I can't get over Woodward and Bernstein. They're liars. They're liars. They're no good. They're deceivers. They're con. How can they talk? How can they talk to the American people with a straight face? And they seem so sincere. And it's all bald-faced lies. When you put two and two together, well, thank goodness that there are journalists like Sarah Carter and Andrew McCarthy and Dan Bongino who are doing the work. They're on Fox News. They're not on MSNBC and CNN. And people who watch MSNBC and CNN, they just can't discern what's going on in the world, what's going on in America. They have no awareness. They just continue to go along with what is happening. And they never stop to think what is happening. That you have illegal, we've been told that there'll be 100,000 illegal. We're at a tipping point. These people, they're not coming in from Mexico now. They're coming in from Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. And people, I saw someone on my Facebook page, they justify it. They're coming in illegal and they justify it. They said, well, I don't know what they say. I can't even understand people who can't think. Who can't think. They're just superficial. They're shallow. They're not deep. Yet liberals pretend that they're so deep and they're so philosophical and they're humanitarians. Listen, I don't care how many illegal aliens we let into this country. America will not end poverty in Latin America. I don't care how many you let in. Latin Americans have to take care of their country and change the economic conditions in their country there. In their country. When you have people leaving their country, that's a brain drain on their country. Those people are needed there to make it better. They shouldn't come here. They should stay in their country to make it a better Otherwise, they're a brain drain. And, I'm just so disturbed by everything that's going on. We can all tie it in together. And how do I do that? I tie it in together this way. The mainstream media deceives the American people. As far as we know, they've been deceiving them for decades. Probably since Nixon. Because it's the same group of folks who are fooling and conning the American people and getting rich while doing it. They're getting rich. And this is the thing that I was saying about the Progressive Voices channel. Remember I told you guys before that my show, when I was a liberal, my show Kathleen Wales show used to re-air on the Progressive Voices channel, right? The Progressive Voices channel is the same folks is the founder. The founder of the Progressive Voices channel is the founder of Air America. So they had, Rachel Maddow, and he founded Rachel Maddow, and they had something Rhodes, Randy Rhodes, and the senator from Minnesota. What was his name? I can't remember. And all those liberal folks who were at Air America, then they were at the Progressive Voices channel. Well, for 2 years, they re-aired the Kathleen Wells show. And they never paid me a license fee for re-airing it. Never. They never gave me $1 to re-air my show. Does that seem fair? Yet these folks are millionaires. See, this is what I'm telling you, people. The liberals, they feel like, I always say this in the movie where Robert De Niro was a gangster or whatever. Never give the blacks any money. This is an example. I feel, that you don't even give me $5, $10, $20 to re-air my show. I feel that I would be entitled to get a license fee for re-airing my show. That seems fair, don't you think? But they did, that was not their business plan. I don't know what they did for the other folks. How they monetized their show or how they earned a living being a radio show host. I have no idea. I never asked. But to me, that represented like the con. It's like a con. It's like, it's like a con. Anyway, they con the American people. Whatever they say that conservatives are, and this is, I've talked about this before. Whatever they say conservatives are, they are. Because when you don't feel that you have to pay Black folks for their services, I mean, that's like the epitome of race. I should work for free. I'm not like entitled to earn a living. They can take my show for free and they don't have to give me anything for it. Because, I don't have to earn a living, right? That's like the epitome. I'm a slave for the Progressive Voices channel. They don't mind, right? And they're progressives and they're millionaires and I can't get $1 for my show being re-aired. Do you understand what I'm saying? Anyway, this is why I was so, I mean, and I could tell you so many stories like that. Just like, my articles are written at Huffington Post. Now, people did complain about that because the Huffington Post didn't pay anyone to put their articles at the Huffington Post. But, but Arianna Huffington became a multi-millionaire. And so this is just the way of, it's just, it's the unreasonable. It's unreasonable. So anyway, what do I want to finish? I have 5 more minutes. I want to tell you that Dr. Claude Anderson is now a sponsor of the Naked Truth Report. And I want to recommend people to go to his powernomics.com website. That's POWERNOMICS, powernomics.com, and you can purchase his library pack, 5 books for $99. And then, I should have something like a book club. Me and my Truth Warriors and Mythbusters should read a book together. I think this will be fun, actually. We should read a book together and then discuss it on the show. And I'd like to get feedback. So, okay, yeah, let's do that. So the first book, let's read, and I've read it before, but I'll read it again with you. And this is why maybe I should have a 2-hour show. Because 1 hour I can do like my commentary and then phone calls. And then the second hour we could do like our book review. You guys think, no one's calling because I said I was going to continue to talk, but someone tell me on my Facebook page or YouTube channel, I think that's a good idea. If like the first hour, I do my commentary and then I do phone calls. And then the second hour, we do a book review. We read a book and then we have a meaningful discussion on the book. Does that sound like a good idea? Let me see. Is anyone answering? Go after them for... Go after them for back pay. I don't, that was, I didn't have a sign. They saying going after, I can't go after the Huffington Post for back pay. Although I do know that people did complain that writers at the Huffington Post did complain that they weren't being paid to submit their articles. I know that was a big hoopla back then. This was back in 2008. But excuse me, but someone is saying that I should go after the Progressive Voices channel for back pay, because they re-aired my show for 2 years. But the issue is, I guess that I had entered into a oral understanding with them because I continued to let them do that. So it was like an implied agreement, right? So I couldn't go after them for back pay. I implicitly accepted those terms. Do you understand? Do you understand? I don't think I could go after them for back pay. But anyway, this is what I think I have 2 more minutes and someone's calling in. I'm going to wait a few more seconds, but I think it would be a good idea to do 1 hour. That means I got to get another hour. So you guys can donate to the show if you think it's a good idea to do 2 hours, with the second hour being we go over a book and then we discuss the book. I like it. But donate to the show so I can buy another hour. Go to my website and make a donation. And so the first book that we'll read is a Black History Reader. You go to Dr. Claude Anderson's website and buy it for $99. I've read it before, but we can read it together. It's chock full. And I know I have smart listeners. I know Truth Warriors and Mythbusters are smart. and they will love this information. And then we can have a meaningful discussion about the book. So let's start with a Black history reader, Dr. Claude Anderson's book. It's chock full of information. That book is an easy read. It's not very long. It's an easy read. And next week, we'll start discussing the first factoid that we find in that book. How does that sound? I think it's a good thing. A Black history reader will be our first book. And I like that one because that one's like fact-based. You know, it's not like an argument so much as it is sort of like fact-based or like a dictionary of facts or something like that. Or, you know, so it's a good thing. And then we can sort of like cross-reference and people can call in and tell me what they think of the facts that they learned in the book. That's a good thing. So that will give a new flavor to the show. We're adding a new element to the show, okay? So anyway, I hear my music. I spoke the whole hour without any phone calls because I'm a talker. I can talk for a whole hour. Yeah. I used to talk for a whole hour on the Kathleen Wells show. I'm really pissed that the Progressive Voices have, but I implicitly accepted those terms, right? Okay, anyway, we're going to talk. Oh, next week, you know who we're having? Professor Wilfred Riley. You know, he has the book Hate Crime Hoax. He has a new book coming out. Oh, he wants me to hurry up. So I'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm all done. Oh, thank you.